generation says that they were the best generation and the children are hopeless and it's all over. I know that because I've read literature going back to ancient Rome. But I'm going to ask you something. If you go into the suburban subculture and you see white students wearing baseball caps turned backwards or pulled over their eyes, or you see them wearing oversized T-shirts, you see them wearing baggy jeans or shorts with dropped crotches that hang to the middle of their shin, and you see the parents go out and buy them this gangbanger outfit. They wear brightly colored shorts underneath the pants. They wear expensive name brand high tops. Some of them wear hooded sweatshirts to ape the garbage in the ghettos. And they wear the hood during the school in order to ape the lowest common denominator. They copy the style from the street vermin, the street gangs. And that next is followed by the language of the street vermin. The language of the ghetto slime has now penetrated suburbia. So you say that the youth is not influenced by behavior. You are wrong. The cultural style for the white middle class has come directly from the ghettos. And you can look back and you can say that in the 60s, the children of the middle class threw away the gloves, the tweed, the sheath dresses, and they put on Levi's and work shirts and peacoats to pretend that they were blue-collar workers. Remember that? They were all little communist, socialist minions, work shirts, Levi's, and they thought that they were the real Americans, although none of them actually worked. Now, today, the adolescents have done a similar thing, but instead of copying the working class, they're co-opting the gangster class as the authentic way to be, and that is to act black, as the kids will tell you themselves. They think that they're going to be scary or strong or confrontational if they dress that way. And the answer to it, I don't really know, other than to stop your children from wearing that filth. But where does the clothing come from? It's a multi-billion-dollar-a-year industry. It is promoted by the multi-million-dollar music industry. And that industry is owned by major white corporations, as you well understand. So it's a business. And the costumes of the youth, the language of the youth, is put into the minds by the $150 billion corporate dream. And there's a PBS documentary on Frontline from 2001 called Merchants of Cool. And they talk about how major corporations, Viacom, Disney, AOL, Time Warner, and others, actually study America's children just like laboratory animals in order to peddle billions of dollars in merchandise to the children by tempting, degrading, and corrupting the children. And then they write on the show like this. NYU communications professor Mark Crispin Miller wrote, when you've got a few gigantic transnational corporations, each one loaded down with debt, competing madly for as much shelf space and brain space as they can take, they're going to do whatever they think works the fastest and with the most people, which means that they will drag standards down. And, of course, then you ask yourself, how far down can it go? Do you think we have hit bottom? No. And that's exactly why I support Michael Powell. We have to draw the line somewhere. Now, he discloses that there are 5 enormous companies today who are selling nearly all of our youth culture. They are the merchants of cool as defined by him. Rupert Murdoch's News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Universal, Vivendi, and AOL Time Warner. These big corporations, we learn, literally send spies to infiltrate young people's social settings to gather intelligence on what they can make the children buy next. He then says the entertainment companies, which are a handful of massive conglomerates that own 4 of the 5 music companies that sell 90% of the music in the U.S., these same companies also own all the film studios, all the major TV networks, all the TV stations in the 10 largest markets, according to University of Illinois communication professor Robert McChesney. They own all or part of every single commercial cable channel. So we can next go to the next step and say, how do you stop this? Well, he says they look at the teen market as part of the massive empire that they're colonizing. He says you should look at it like the British Empire or the French Empire of the 19th century. Teens, he says, are like Africa. You know that's this range that they're going to take over, and their weaponry are films, music, books, CDs, internet access, clothing, amusement parks, sports teams. That's all this weaponry they have to make money off of this market. So what is the answer? Well, the first step is imposing a form of control over the filth in language. It's a very tepid step. The next step would be to break up the media monopolies. There's no question about it. The media monopolies are responsible for this. Now, whether you broke it up and it would produce anything different, I don't know. It could get worse. So the only alternative is to appeal to the leaders of these 5 families and say to them, you better control yourself because the people are going to control you otherwise, and try to force them to control themselves. Because if we break up the media conglomerates and we suddenly say, well, more independents can own it, you're going to have more filth. You're going to have more filth probably rather than less.
Savage.